Welcome to For Sure Media, without doubt bringing you the latest and newest in music and fashion from across the UK. Today we're in Studio 2 at Radical Lounge Studios, and we've got the amazing Chloe Lupton in the hot chair, ready to have a conversation with us to talk about her music and kind of her development as an artist in the UK. Welcome, Chloe.
Hello, nice to be here.
How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. So for our listeners who might not know who you are or are meeting you for the first time, just tell us a little bit about you, kind of your age, where you're from, and just talk a little bit about, kind of what music you do.
So I'm Chloe Lupton. I'm 22, just turned 22. I'm from Ipswich, Suffolk, basically from the countryside. I kind of grew up doing musical theatre. It's kind of what I grew up doing. That was like how I developed. And then when I got to around, about 19, 20, I came out of drama school after doing a bit of studying there. And it was during lockdown where I began to realise because I've always grown up with jazz, soul music, R&B. That's always the music that I've been in love with. And I listen to music like every day of my life with anything that I do. So when I started, in lockdown, you have a lot of time to yourself. So I began to write music to beats on YouTube, and one of the first songs I wrote was Late Night, which is a song that is now out on Spotify. And
You've performed that song a few times as well, haven't you?
Quite a few times, yeah, with a band and acoustically. It's one of my favourites. It's a neo-soul number. And yeah, it kind of gives me like Erykah Badu vibes or that kind of thing. So that was like one of the first songs I wrote. And that was when I began working with you guys with Radical Lounge, because I noticed a few other people online were coming to Radical Lounge, people that I knew from school. And so they, kind of drew me in from their stories and their posts. So I came there, and then they started writing from there. And it's just been all go from there. We've had the Radical Lounge band. We've been doing my sold out gig with at the Smokehouse, my first headline gig, and I managed to sell it out, which was
Smokehouse are independent venue in Ipswich. Yeah, small venue, but actually very active in the local music scene. So you said Late Night is one of your early releases, and that's out for people to listen to.
It's out now,
so Chloe Lupton, Late Night, check it out. What about some more of your current or more recent releases? Kind of what's the latest track that you dropped?
Latest track I've dropped, is Midnight Radio. So that one released on Friday about a week ago, and it's like more of a funky kind of West Coast old school type beat, but a little bit kind of got that pop or commercial element to it. So it's kind of a mixture of my love for like US soul, old school US soul, like Bruno Mars, 24K Magic was an inspiration for that, and then mixed with like new age pop.
I'm pretty sure you actually wrote a lot of the lyrics in this room.
Oh yeah. I was on FaceTime to my sister in this room, and I showed her the beat, which I fell in love with, and then she was like, "Oh, this is awesome as well." And then she kind of came up with some ideas like the Strangers in the Dark line and stuff like that. And then from there, I just carried on writing the song, and then carried on in Studio 1 with that song.
Well, let's not play it down too much, because you recently performed it on BBC Introducing, which was a big deal, and also sounded amazing. You recently did a gig in London as well.
Yep.
With a company called No Status. Yeah, and how was it received by people in London?
It was received really well. So I did the BBC Introducing gig first, and I performed that with the band for the first time. And a couple of other stuff. But then, in London, when I went to do the No Status event with you guys, people seemed to love it because, people got up and they were dancing, and then I started filming them, and it was just such a vibe. Like, we were just playing the song before I'd actually started performing, and I'd started doing the, I can't remember the name of that dance, but you know the one.
I know the dance.
The classic dance that everyone does in clubs. But they were doing it to that song, and that was just...
It's Candy, innit? Candy,
yeah. Like, Candy, that one. Yeah, so they were doing that dance to the song, and it was,
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel really good, because that's the whole point of the song, and that's what I intended to, like, the vibe I intended to create with the song was for people to get up and dance and immediately have, like, an infectious groove. It was like, that's how it felt, was one person started dancing, then someone else joined, and then another person, and then they were all doing it together, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, it sounds like a vibe. It was a vibe. I was there. Let me not act like I weren't there. I was there. And you mentioned, kind of inspirations from Bruno Mars, and that kind of leads nicely into my next question. So, in terms of, there's a lot of artists putting music out at the moment. In your opinion, in the current music scene, who's hot in your opinion?
My answer for this would be Ray. She is, yeah, she's actually a massive inspiration for me at the moment because she basically recently left her label, who were I think from the story I've heard, she was with them for since she was about 15 years old, 17 or something like that, really young, and she's been releasing singles that are kind of dance music, but it doesn't sound like she actually really wanted to release that genre. So she releases song after song after song, and they never let her release an album. So she got to a point where she was almost going to quit music, and then she decided to actually just leave them and go independent. Now she's independent. She released a song called Escapism, which is now out like everywhere, and it was on TikTok. And since then, she was releasing an EP and releasing songs since then, and I've just been obsessed with them, all of them.
So, did you say her because of her experiences and how they inspire you, or is her music right down your street as well?
It's both. Her music is right down my street. There's a mix. She actually has quite a lot of blues because she just released an EP called 21st Century Blues. It's quite bluesy, but then she's also got like really like R&B music with like a punch, and she sings / raps, and it's really up my street. But as well as that, she is just an inspiration because she's gone independent and she's doing it all herself, and she's showing what you can do as an independent artist. That's literally what she's doing, and that's what I am. So I can kind of resonate, even though obviously she had the label first that helped build her, but clearly it didn't. I don't know. Obviously everyone's experience is different.
Yeah, of course, everyone's experiences are unique. But being an independent artist, it puts a lot of control in the hands of the artist.
Yeah.
But it also puts a lot of pressure on the artist. And before I kind of move on to my next question, what can we, and I say we, I mean the British public and anyone else that follows you from around the world, expect from you next?
You can expect, my next single, which is going to be, it's called Runaway, and it is a piano ballad. So it's very different to my other music, which has kind of been quite more like created a vibe
Funky
so far. Funky,
yeah.
soulful, like has a beat to it.
And prior to that, you were doing some R&B stuff as well, weren't you?
And this one is I wrote it with my sister, so she wrote the piano.
She composed
the piano. She's actually just an incredible pianist, and she's always trying to hide away in the background, so I'm trying to get her out. But she wrote the piano, I wrote the lyrics, and it's about a breakup, and I think people are really going to resonate with it because it's really stripped back and just raw, and my vocals it's just raw vocal. There's no effects, anything like that. It's just, yeah.
So Midnight Radio didn't have a music video.
No.
But to my knowledge, you are planning.
Really would like to do a music video because I think it would
for Runaway.
Really well.
Yeah, and you've, if I can remember correctly, you had a couple of companies interested in actually shooting this particular song
for Runaway for the next song. Yeah, so they're interested in doing.
That's amazing.
Beautiful video for that one.
So it sounds like you're very active, and it even sounds like you're being received well by people in London and outskirts and surrounding areas to Suffolk, etc. Being an independent artist though can be quite challenging. So just talk to me about what the pros and cons for you and some of the experiences that you had up so far as being an independent artist.
One of the challenges I'd say is like the rural area I live in. I live in Suffolk, and although obviously, of course, there's BBC Introducing and it's a great platform, and I've recently been able to kind of get more involved with that. But yeah, living in Suffolk is a little bit difficult because obviously the main city is London, and that's where like the music industry, the heart of the music industry is. Or like, in America, for example. Yeah, living in a rural part in Ipswich can be a little bit difficult sometimes because of how few, not so many people there, and yeah, it's more difficult to grow the fan base. And another thing is social media, because there's so many people doing the same thing, so many people trying to do the exact same thing.
It's difficult to get spotted, isn't it?
It's more difficult to get spotted, even though back in the old days, I'm sure it was probably harder in a different way because there's not social media and there isn't those platforms. But
so what is working for you then, in opposed to what isn't working or what is challenging? What's worked for you?
What's worked for me? Well, being part of a studio, like you have to get yourself out there. So I do just keep generating content as much as I can for all of my music, and I do put that out there. And then I find events in London mainly because that's where a lot of R&B and soul events are. And I find events to go to network. I just do a lot of networking, to be honest. I think those are always the things that work the best for me, is meeting people in person.
Yeah.
Actually, and I know a lot of people succeed on social media, but for me, it's in person. I think because they get to experience your vibe as a person
And your energy.
as
Indeed.
well as your music.
Amazing. For sure media, and we are here without doubt bringing you the latest and the newest in music and fashion, and we've got the amazing Chloe Lupton in the hot chair speaking to us about her future and her journey. Midnight Radio is the latest release, so look out for that.
Check it out.
Out now. And Runaway up and coming soon. Any gigs coming up that people should look out for?
I've got. I'm hoping to get a gig at the Music Day in Ipswich. There's going to be one that's coming up.
So that's in July, I believe. That's a
it's
big,
in July,
So that's a big local festival in July, and it's open to the general public. Anybody from any community can come. So so that's dope.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just trying to plug away at more places. I recently performed at Ronnie Scott's, so I'm trying to go back there with my band because it was a little bit more stripped back last time. So Ronnie Scott's in London, and I think that's it so far. I'm still it's only the beginning of the year, so I'm trying to plug away at places and get my name out there. But yeah.
Well, thank you to the whole Radical Lounge team for letting us use their space. Big shout out to For Sure Media and For Sure Magazine. I'm Tis. This is Chloe Lupton, and this has been an amazing interview. Thank you very much for joining us, guys.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Just strangers in the dark.